aren't necessarily taxation based. And what we've been doing shared services for 40 years. We've been providing mainframe technologies in law enforcement, assessment, tax, you name it. We've been doing it. So we know what it's like to share. But with cloud computing, it gives you this whole new ability to share. It allows us to even go farther than we would just out of this region. We're looking across the state of Michigan. We're even looking at some entities that are in other states.
Really?
Yeah. And what we're looking at is not a model where we're not a profit-making business, so we can't do that. But we're looking for partners where we can recoup our revenue and then lower our cost of technology.
Makes sense.
The more you bring in, the more people involved, the lower per unit cost, the more we can save. That's a win for us.
Right. So I know back, I don't want to say back in the day because you guys will make fun of me, but like I think government.
I thought you were going to say, what is the cloud?
What is the cloud? No, but governments tried to get into the service provider model. How do planes fly? I don't get flight. I don't care if everyone knows it. I'm announcing it now. But governments tried to get into the service provider model with public Wi-Fi, and
Oakland County had the wireless initiative,
wireless Oakland,
where we're going to give you 512K, but if you want a meg, you got to pay for it. And I don't want to say it bombed, but it wasn't.
It didn't do what we expected it to. But a couple things.
Well, but I think cloud is a completely different animal, and it touches a lot more.
It couldn't get monetized, and one of the problems you had was we weren't going to use public money to do it,
right?
And we had a provider out there that was using their own money. And they were putting up the equipment, and we had 20-some million minutes used in the time it was live. So there's a pent-up demand for it. I think it's like electricity. If you really want to talk about broadband internet, if we want to change the way this country operates, we need to get broadband internet everywhere, like Singapore and other countries.
It's like plugging in a lamp.
Because it's got to be there. Right. If we're going to expect our children to be in this global economy, we have to do it. So now, we never gave up. So there are some downtowns, Oxford. There's wireless down there. We're looking to do the village of the city, or the city of the village of Clarkston, and the village of Holly. And so what we're doing is for every tower that we let them use, we want a free downtown of wireless. Now it's not wireless Oakland the way we were going to try to get across ubiquitous coverage across the whole county, but we're going to do everything we can to get those communities wired wireless so that people can use it. So when you think about the provider model, so let me dive into that real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Because government does good things. There's good things that government does, and we are a service provider. But the problem you have is that the service providers, the private sector providers out there, are not ready to handle the mid-sized to small governments. There's no profit margin there. It's high touch. You have to go build the relationship, and you have to go in there, and you have to know their business, and you have to help them. What we've done with the G2G Cloud, and this really started with Brooks Patterson. One day he called me in the office. He said, I heard about this cloud thing. When you said that, what's the cloud? And he said, this cloud thing, he goes, what's it going to do for us? Now, this is a guy that, he always says, I'm not much of a techie. He's a techie. He thinks about technology as strategic to how we change government.
Yeah, the big picture.
The big picture.
Right.
But when the cloud came forward, it allowed us to have that new platform, that ability to do this. Let me give you an example. Tax time, peaks. There's, tax time, we have peaks in our systems.
Right.
So I've got to ramp up all my data center, and everything's got to be ramped up to the peak. Otherwise, I got a problem. With the cloud, I don't necessarily have to do that. I can go ahead and consume that peak while it's in peak time, and then I can ramp back down again. So it's a whole different way. Now, the medium to small governments can't use these technologies because two things. They can't afford the capital expense, and they can't afford the ongoing operating.
The infrastructure is huge.
Just to build the servers and have the network and do everything they have to do. What if we build it as big government or bigger government?
Let them
consume it.
Let them subscribe.
Let them consume it. It's a hub and spoke, too. So maybe Oakland County's doing it here in Southeast Michigan. Maybe it's Orange County, Florida, doing it in Central Florida. But the big government.
As long as they have the initials OC, you're good. Orange County.
Exactly. Because somehow,
where's that bell?
The G2G and the OC.
Right. Bob, go register that.
.co.
Is that a 6-letter acronym?
Yeah. But we are even creating a marketplace where we're taking it to the next level. We're bringing the private sector in because we know
that's what I was saying.
We can only go so far. So we've gone with an RFQ. We're looking for partners. We're going to bring the partners in, and we're going to build the portfolio. And then the small government can say, hey, I just had a risk assessment done. I got these 5 security problems. I don't know where to turn. The G2G Marketplace has 3 security as a service model providers. Boom, they've got a solution. It's cost low, and they get it done. That's what we're trying to do. And it's not government trying to take over for the private sector, But I can tell you, when the cloud, 3 years ago, when they really started pushing cloud computing as a concept.
Yeah, it's when the smartphones really took hold.
Yeah, and the private sector said, "Oh, we're ready.
No, you're not. No,
they
you're
weren't.
not. No.
And they're not ready right now.
See, I was one of the early adopters of broadband over power line, probably like in 06,
So
0506.
Do you live on a farm?
No.
Was that like the ISDN line?
No, it's not an ICM. No, it's like literally coming in on your power circuit
the power
over unused, just like DSL over unused spectrum in the copper.
Right.
They're doing it with meter reading, right? With smart meters.
Yep.
But they're not delivering broadband.
Yeah, they came out and replaced all of ours.
Yeah, but I always thought, like, for a government to take over, like, it was perfect for small towns. I sold a couple small towns in Ohio, and it was great because then they could 100% saturation.
And now they got themselves a monorail.
Exactly.
Hey, do you remember Slingbox?
Oh, yeah.
You remember what the first thing, how it got the signal from where the computer was to the TV? It plugged into the wall.
Home plug?
They
Oh, so it was used the internal.
Yep.
I still use home plug at my house. I still have a couple adapters left over from back then that still work. I mean, it's 14 meg, but wherever my daughter wants to set up shop on her, plug it in.
Yeah.
Granted, wireless is, I got a wireless N router, so I mean, pretty much that's gone to wayside now.
Let's take circa 2005, and when we started looking at wireless Oakland, and I remember someone came out. We had some investors that were ready to invest and bring the project forward, and then someone came out and said, "You're using the wrong technology. Wi-Fi is outdated. You need to use WiMAX." It scared a bunch of people away. There was articles about it, but all right, where are the WiMAX consumer users today?
I remember those conversations.
Crickets.
Where's beta these days?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I remember those conversations.
Vinyl.
Yeah.
WiMAX. Yeah, that was going to be the thing. Zigbee, the Bluetooth
It's like
took
digital
over.
audio tapes.
Yeah.
I remember selling Zigbee chips in Silicon Valley, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's going to be the next big thing. All the appliances are going to talk by Zigbee. Zigbee's dead."
Yeah. Well, no. So I guess let's take a step back. So you are Phil Bertolini. You are the CIO of Oakland County.
Yes.
So
What do you do here?
What does that mean?
What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I report directly to the county executive. Al Brooks Patterson is our county executive, and he's been a champion of technology for a number of years. And if you look at governments across the United States, it's rare to have CIOs in the county at the county level. A lot of large cities have them, but he wanted to have technology at the highest level of the decision-making tree. That's why I'm a deputy county executive as well. So we have a core budget.
That was my other question. What is that?
Yeah, we have a core budget.
It's like a vice president.
Right. We have a core budget task force that, one of the reasons why Oakland County is in good shape as it is today is we put fiscal controls in place, and under Brooks's leadership, he wanted to create a budget task force where there's 5 deputy county executives, and every decision for hiring and every decision to spend certain amounts of money has to go through that five-person panel. So we controlled it. We didn't fill vacant positions. We cut over 300 positions out of county government. We're now balanced through 2016. Our numbers show we're going to be balanced through 2017 with a good fund equity to help us, grow that account that helps us, really get through what we need to pay and what we need to support longer term.
Well, yes. I mean, when somebody comes and tells you, "Hey, somebody actually went and read the master plan and strategic plan that you have out on your section of the site," that was me, and I did. I saw that. You've actually got you're leaving positions unfilled and that kind of stuff for the time being, because there's no need for it right now at this very moment,
or we've made conscious decisions to streamline county government.
Yep.
It's a simple fact. You ready for this is going to be really high level budgeting. Here we go. You ready?
Wake up, Bob.
Ready? Don't spend more than you have.
Amen.
Hey.
Amen.
And isn't that kind of like football? You want to win, score more points than that.
That's right. Or the old Al Kaline, hey, the right fielder's job is to catch the ball.
Right.
But
spend less than you take in.
Prophetic.
Shocker.
Prophetic.
Hey, they're down by 2. What do you think they're going to do? Well, I think they're going to come out and try to score more goals there, Bob. Thanks for playing.
But government wasn't used to that. And we are a AAA.
No government is used to that.
But we're a AAA bond rated county, and we have been for almost 14 years now. And we just went through our bond hearings. We were very concerned about the.
I was going to say, so did anything? Did that make anybody nervous?
I think one of the bond houses told us if they could have a AAA platinum, they would give it to us because we've managed our finances. We've done everything we had to do. We took pay reductions as employees.
Right.
Our employees took a 4% pay reduction, and they had changes in their health care. And they did all of that, and even the bargaining units did it because they realized we have to do something. It was hard. It was a hill of mud. We were sliding down a hill of mud.
What a novel concept. Everybody actually collectively saw a problem and came together to fix it.
And all the countywide elected officials sat at the table and did it with us. And that's the testament to Brooks and his leadership. He brought everybody together. Now, one other thing about government that I think we have to...
Now, where would that have made sense? Where? Oh, we're sitting...
On the next...
We're soaking in it.
But there are people out there that think government can't operate like a business. And really, we're one large...
Government needs to operate
We're a
like
large
a
service industry.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We serve people. We have 1.2 million people in Oakland County.
It's absolutely a business.
And that was actually one of my questions for you.
It needs to be run by a business.
What's the key difference between being IT private sector and IT public sector? What do you are your challenges different? Do you see just different situations you have to deal with? What's the big difference between private sector, public sector?
That's an excellent question because I've been thinking about that over the years. What is really different about us? You've read our master plan, you read our strategic plan. We plan probably more than some companies do.
Yeah. And it's a really well-written 3 to 5 year, this is where we're going to go.
And we manage to it.
Yeah, and this is, I was...
And we're a proprietary fund, so what that means is we're not a general fund department, so that means every quarter I have to provide an invoice to the Board of Commissioners, and they have to pay that invoice every quarter, so I have to prove everything I'm doing. That's very important.
Oh, yeah, you had all the allocation, hours, resources.
Yep.
It was... I'm not going to lie; it was a bit of a brain-numbing read, but it was literally. Every 800 different applications that are out there. You've got 30 different departments that essentially that you report to as your customers.
Yeah, and we bring them together in our leadership groups, and they actually sit and manage the portfolio. Now, why is that important? Because I think very much that's how private sector operates in some cases. But the difference is, the private sector is always looking at the bottom line. What is the profit to the shareholders or what is the profit to the company?
Right.
We're not a profit-making business. So there are a number of projects that we do for the betterment of the citizens. The service that we provide, is it a public health program? Is it an economic development program? Because as we bring more businesses in, we bring jobs. And as we know, everything starts with a job. Another novel idea, right?
Yeah,
Start
right.
with a job.
Right.
Yeah,
So then, do you get into are there fights that break out versus public Wi-Fi for everyone and let's plant trees because trees are pretty? Here's
the problem with when we started that in 2005. You know what the problem was? We were early.
Yeah.
We were early. And we tried to make it happen because it was the right thing to do, and we like to be out front.
Great idea, wrong timing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think if we had 3 years, let's get past the bad economy. If we had brought that idea forward in 2010 with a different technology or a different way of doing it, it might have had a greater success rate. But I think what we have to do as government is not allow that to stop us. We have to be willing to think about what's next. We have to be.
But when you do something like that, though, I don't mean to. When you do something like that, obviously you have political and corporate relationships with the Comcasts and the service providers. Does that, in essence, quote unquote, piss them off, or are you?
Yeah, we stood toe to toe in Lansing and we fought it out.
Right.
What they did is they started a rewrite of the Michigan Telecommunications Act. And when they did that, they tried to ban governments from being involved in in broadband.
Well, I'm sure they wouldn't have, yeah.
And so we have lobbyists, they had lobbyists, we stood there, and you know what the problem was? Is at the beginning of it, I said, then everybody come to the table and find a solution. If we have a solution, I don't need to do this if the private sector has a solution for it.
Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and make it happen.
Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, but the issue was density and the issue was take rate. And so when you started looking at the federal broadband dollars, which is helping with the northern part of Oakland County today, when you look at it, they were talking about how many people would actually take it.
You're welcome, Jeff.
But but you know what my issue was?
You're in northern Oakland County too.
Not that much northern.
Yeah. But you know what my issue was? There's a lot of people that can't afford it too. And so we started talking about rural areas, and it's wonderful, and we can get broadband in the rural areas, but there's a lot of people that can't afford to pay for it too.
Yep.
And how do we deal with that? And if the private sector was going to do it, we'd have stepped off the battlefild. But they weren't ready to do it.
Well, no, of course not. Because
not ready or not willing.
Yeah, people that won't pay for it. Wait, what?
Well, but you know what? Now, but the good result of all this a good result of government getting involved is you have Comcast that now has low cost broadband for lower income folks. And I'm not saying we made that happen, but I'm sure that it started to give a realization.
Well, broadband doesn't have that same tax that landline does, right? To pay for the low income stuff.
Well, see, Comcast, if I remember, I don't have all the details on the program,
right.
But if someone's on the school lunch program,
right,
they're eligible to get their family to have high speed broadband in the home at a low rate, and as long as they're in school, they'll provide that low rate broadband,
really?
Which is a phenomenal program.
That's half my kid's school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Avondale District.
No, I know. I mean, I know kids that do that. Interesting.
But think about that. So if the